So, welcome to Elevate 2024. My name is Angie Chang, and I'm the co founder of Girl Geek X. We started as Bay Area Girl Geek Dinners in 2008, where we were hosting a giant Girl Geek dinner of over 400 women at Google. And since then, have done hundreds of Girl Geek dinners. And in the last 7 years, started to Elevate virtual conference series. Welcome, Sukrutha.
Hi, we just had a little bit of an air meet snafu at the beginning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Elevate 2024. We're so excited to have you join us from every different part of the world that you may have joined us from. Do tell us in the chats where you're signing in from. Like Angie said, we see people signing in from North Carolina, Los Angeles, Chicago. That's awesome. Stockholm, that's even better. We love that we can reach out to all of you from across the globe, and we'd love to learn from you. What's your goal this summer? Post in the chat on the right. And maybe the goal is career related, maybe it's personal, and maybe it's just having a new hobby or reading a good book. For me personally, I'm trying to publish a children's book that I've worked on with my 4-year-old. So that's my goal this summer. So a little bit about me. I'm Sukrutha. I'm the co-founder of and CTO of Girl Geek X. We used to call this Bay Area Girl Geek Dinners, and this was when we were a little bit more localized. And when we had in-person events, it was all across the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. And we did that for over a decade. We also started to do virtual conferences like this one, and we've done it for over 5 years. The goal is we really just want you all to have more and more opportunities to not just connect with each other, but to give you the opportunity to be on stage and get that confidence going with giving that tech talk or career talk, and then talk in more sessions, in more conferences, and get your brand out there. We really appreciate you joining, making time on a work day or at an evening dinner time for you to join our conference. Like I said, the goal is to just celebrate the career, the best in career and tech in this safe space that we want to provide in this AirMeet virtual conference platform. We hope you had the chance to participate in the speed networking session this morning. We also have a social lounge in AirMeet to continue to network, and a fluid lounge at the end of today. So that's awesome. The rest of the day is also filled with amazing sessions from women who are experts on everything from engineering to product, also giving career transition advice, career growth advice, to cutting edge of AI, data product platform, self-advocacy, and so on. We absolutely hope you will use this opportunity to connect with others across networking times and simply just message each other. You can message each other one-on-one or group requests. And like we mentioned, there's a networking session that happens later today. You could connect that way. You also could connect on LinkedIn and stay in touch. So yeah, over to you, Angie.
Yes. I wanted just to have a quick moment to say that we love our sponsors. It's the support of conference and event sponsors that keeps us going and hosting Girl Geek X events like our Girl Geek dinners and Elevate virtual conferences and career fairs, so that we can continue to create all these opportunities to pass the microphone to Girl Geeks on stage and to get fellow Girl Geeks hired into the top tech roles. So we want to say thank you to Attentive for all of your support and enthusiasm for women in tech, and for your partnership in recruiting and retaining and working on building up the reputations of women in tech. So we can't wait for recruiters, hiring managers, and women in engineering to meet our Elevate attendees at the virtual career fair booth hour, which starts at noon Pacific today. And right after that, so actually first, our employer intros that happen at 11:40. And if you want to learn about lots of engineering roles that are hiring actively that are remote, as well as hybrid roles in cities like San Francisco and New York City, please don't miss the employer intro at 11:50 Pacific, 12:50 Eastern today for attentive Girl Geeks speaking about the company, hiring process, and more crucial insights. And then there's the booth hour at 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. That is a great time for you to meet hiring managers, recruiters, and engineering team members, so you can ask them questions and get a sense for the hiring process and get your foot in the door before you apply. And I think they have some they have some announcements about cool roles and openings that are there. So I would definitely talk to them for the latest and the greatest there. So whether you are actively looking for a new opportunity or not, you likely know someone who is looking for a next job in tech. So please help a fellow girl land her next job in tech by forwarding the emails that we send with all the job listings, telling them about today's free event. There's not only the recruiting, there's also tons of great content from inspiring girl geeks who are mid to senior level women in tech, just like you, who are sharing their latest insights on what they're working on and helping each other lift as we climb. So I encourage you to look at our featured job listings at girlgeek.io/jobs. There's a diverse set of remote hybrid engineering product roles and teams that you can imagine and can. And today we'll be hearing from an inclusive set of women in tech who are managers to individual contributors, because we love hearing from women about their unique expertise and inspiring stories, the cool job titles that they're holding, and the incredible passions, geeky side projects, and real talk career advice that they will hopefully share with you to inspire you to do that hard thing you wanted to do, or maybe think differently about something that is challenging you. So we are going to be learning so much today. I encourage you to tweet or put it on LinkedIn and share the advice and insights that we get with #ElevateWomen. And everything is recorded and put on our YouTube channel later. So also you can in-air meet replay sessions. And I wanted to say one more thing about speakers. Many of our speakers are here today because they applied to speak. So I encourage you to go to speak.girlgeek.io and apply to speak. We host these events quarterly, and we do have rolling submissions. So if you apply to speak, you may not be selected for the next quarter, but we are always looking every quarter at what will make a great speaker lineup. And who knows, I might in a year or two reach out to you saying, hey, that talk you suggested, it actually sounds perfect for our agenda right now. So in today's critical economic environment, it's sponsorship that keeps our organization alive, and we really appreciate your continued support of our initiative to put more women on stage as expert speakers, role models, and creating those crucial connections for future friendships and maybe even future coworkers and co-conspirators. And with that.
Yes, so this year's Elevate keynote speaker is Rashmi, VP of Engineering at Salesforce. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce her. She will be sharing her non-linear career path from software engineer in quality to VP of Engineering at Salesforce. We're so excited to welcome you, Rashmi. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Sukrutha, and thank you, Angie, for considering me for this opportunity to share my thoughts, my journey with all of you. I'm extremely excited that we get to do this together, and I get to see so many women from all over the world joining this and collaborating on sharing their thoughts and journeys. I'm very excited. Thank you, Girl Geek, for giving me this opportunity. Yeah, so the whole journey of a non-linear journey, I don't think anybody should have any impression that it's going to be linear, right? So let me tell a bit of a story about myself. I'm Rashmi Channarayapattna, been at Salesforce and VP of Engineering, but well before that, I started my journey at a startup here in US during the dot-com bust time, right? So you can imagine I was in a dot-com company during the dot-com bust, how hard the transition was. Getting the job itself was a first hard path. And then when I joined that startup, we were like around 80 people, and we ended up at 8 by the time I left 4.5 years later. You can imagine the kind of ups and downs we went through as a company, right? So what made me stick there and even grow there, even in that kind of an environment? I was able to get promotions, and I became that staple person in the company because of few things that comes to my mind. One, obviously, you have to, irrespective of the level you are at, you have to bring that sense of leadership, ownership for anything that's given to you or you're interested in. So that interest and that credibility you're going to build for yourself is going to matter, right? So I think to kind of take a step back, you have to be trustworthy. That's where all of this is. And being trustworthy means you have to be credible. It means you have the skills that are necessary to do the job. And you have to be reliable. It means you're going to do the job that you say you're going to do and in the time frame you're going to do. And you are able to do it with people, being able to connect with people and do it alongside people, right? Along with all of this, of course, good communication, collaboration skills are important. But the most important thing, even if when you do something, even if when it doesn't go right, you have to be able to stand your hold on to that notion that you're doing what's right for the company. It might not be right for you, whichever company you are in, right? So that's all of that package. It's what makes you trustworthy for a company, right? I think all of those elements that I talked about are going to matter, right? So I think you have to establish yourself as that person. It doesn't matter what level you are. You could be the most entry level person. As long as all of those elements are what you're keeping in mind, it's going to help you sustain, right? So just to kind of wrap up my journey on the startup, when you are in that kind of an environment where so many people are coming and going and the company is trying to figure itself out, so that it can sustain and thrive, the one thing I learned is the kind of value you add to the company without being hung up on the titles, the job descriptions you were hired to do is what matters. I literally did every job that was put on my plate, irrespective of what my job title was. I was there as a quality engineer, to be honest. That's the title I went with. However, I also did release management because the release management team was like laid off and there was only one person there. So I had to do that to support them. I did customer support calls. I did many different roles like this that was not part of my job description. And then my manager had left, so I did even management. So I think it's being of value to the company and doing whatever is needed to get the job done. That perseverance and that resilience is what the company will value and hold on to it, right? So it laid such a massive foundation. I learned to respect and value every job that is out there and the difficulties of those jobs. It's very easy to kind of sit back and say, oh, they are not doing this, somebody else is not doing that, but they have their own ground realities, right? When you're in their world, that's when you kind of realize all those things. So that's how my career journey started. It might have felt like, okay, it was going well, and that's when, ultimately I had to change jobs, and I applied to Salesforce and all. And guess what? In Salesforce, they said, you've done too many different things, but you haven't done quality engineering job deep enough, but we are looking for quality engineer. So we're going to hire you at a much lower level than, in my startup, I was at an LMTS, like a lead level, right? Here they said, you know what, we'll give you an MTS level, which is like 2 levels down. But you know what? It didn't matter to me. I felt it's a good company. I get to learn newer things and I'll be able to prove myself by bringing that same level of work ethic, same level of passion that where I grew in Salesforce to Salesforce. So that's kind of how I joined, right? And then, there you go through some ups and downs, personal stuff. I had to take a career break and all that. So initially, for a while, I felt like my career is kind of not going anywhere because life is more important. It is what it is, right? So you're going through that motion, and then I moved into like management, right? Of course, I grew as an IC within Salesforce, and then I transitioned to management. And that's where I kind of realized, being in a company as big as it is Salesforce, some of the skills I had learned at that startup also are coming in handy, right? Being able to connect with people, being able to solve value add. No problem is a big one or a small one. You just take it and figure out who else is passionate about doing things like that they are passionate to solve that problem that's affecting you as well. So you build that group and coalition and start uh, showcasing things, because in a company they are going to look for not just an idea, that everybody can rally behind. They want to see, is there a path forward? Is it possible? Are the people championing this cause passionate to go do that, right? So all of that is what's going to matter. So it is important you find that group and that find that passion to pitch projects, build coalition, influence it, and it's going to flex a different set of skills for you that you probably might not get to do in your day job, right? So overall, I would say leading initiatives has been the other pillar. One is adding value, being trustworthy, and the second aspect is being able to lead initiatives, bring people together, and champion that cause. Right. So I would say that's the best way to network. I know, you can meet somebody at a cocktail event. You're gonna network. It stays at that surface level where hey, you exchange some good information, good laughs, but it doesn't go deeper. But when you work with somebody on a project, you bring your value system and the way you approach to the table, people are going to say, okay, now I know I have a much deeper connection. That's the way I prefer to go deeper and network with people on things that matter to them, that matters to me as well, and then we can collaborate on it, right? So it builds that deeper connection. And then the last but not the least kind of thing, right, I would say be patient and you have to be very resilient, right? uh, all your grand scheme of plans, well thought out, well put together plans, there will always be a wrench that's going to be thrown into that plan. So you have to stay true to what you want to do and evolve and be adaptable, right? It's not going to go right. Things are a reality, reorgs are a reality in a company, or like projects getting funded, defunded, all of that is going to happen as well. So you have to figure out how do you keep evolving yourself, keep adapting to the newer situations. Again, if you have built yourself, built your brand, right, you're known for something because you have put that value system in place, and you have also shown that you can build coalitions with people and take that vision forward, being patient and being resilient and adaptable. Those three things are going to build you up for anything that's going to come your way, right? Sometimes it's going to go faster than you expected, sometimes it's going to go slower than you expected, but ultimately you're going to build a brand for yourself. Hey, this person can deliver. I can trust this person. I can have them go do what you need to do to get things done, right? So I think all those things are going to matter tremendously. Along with all of this, right? I would love for us to keep learning, right now. Of course, generative AI is the whole buzz, whole thing. Sometimes you might get lucky, you're in a project that allows you to learn organically. If not, how do you keep up with the trend? How can you learn on what's going on, whichever area of business you're in? Since I'm in tech, I'm talking about generative AI. For somebody else, it might be something else, right, that they're going to figure out and build. Like, you need to have that awareness of what's going on, and so that you can keep up with the times, right? It's a combination of all of these things that's going to help your career journey. Like I said, for me, it was a very non-linear kind of thing. I have gone through many ups and downs. For initial, like close to like eight plus years of my career, I felt like it's not going anywhere because of various different things, right? Whether you can say, hey, this I did this right, but it didn't work out, but you can't lose hope, right? You need to keep doing and then I grew pretty much every year, uh, right, very quickly. But it's not because I did something brilliant in that year, because I had that foundation from all the way years back, and I was doing it. It's just things weren't falling in place, and then once things started falling in place, you are able to go through it in a very different pace. So my message to all of you is going to be just that: build your own brand, be known for something, be very clear and be consistent in your approach, lead those initiatives, and be patient and resilient, and things are going to fall in place for you guys. uh, and you'll be able to move forward in your career. That's a quick highlight on what I wanted to share with all of you.
Thank you, Rashmi. I see a lot of great comments from people. Some questions that are coming your way is what advice do you have? We have a lot of people in our membership who would like to take a little bit of a break in their career. And so, is there any advice you would like to share with them?
Yeah. I think it's important for all of us to realize, again, it's okay to take a break. Right? Like, so I just want to tell everybody, nobody should feel like, oh my God, I have to take a break, so my career is over. It's natural for you to feel that way. So I took a personal career break for almost like 2 years and stayed home. Right? And I had to do that, again, for personal reasons, and it's never easy to go through those decisions, right? But you have to do. You are ultimately here to lead a life, and career is one aspect of it, right? So you have to do that balance. So I'll just say it's okay. You'll be able to accept that, because what you accept is what's going to matter the most. But once you're ready, right? Of course, you're taking a break. It's hard. It's not like I'm going to say, hey, keep up your skills every single day. It's not going to be possible. You're taking a break for a reason, right? So be realistic in your approach. But whenever you are ready, maybe a year later, year and a half later, whatever that might be for you, start actually bringing that discipline back on what you want to accomplish. How do you want to train yourself to go back to this journey, and give yourself that ramp up time, right? Whatever that transition time, maybe initially you start with like a day, only an hour to catch up on your skills, right? And then kind of build all of those things. But that preparation is going to matter. uh, just don't think you're going to come back and jump right in and you're not going to be able to sustain it. So I would say, be okay with yourself to take the break, and then whenever you are ready to come back with full homework. See what's going to matter, and the connections you all have built, all these are also going to come in very handy to go back and reach. Again, if you have done that, building that trustworthiness, credibility part, the options and doors will open for you. It doesn't mean that it's going to come for free. Nobody is going to hand you a job because you have done that. You still have to prove your skill set, but at least you will have an entryway. uh, that's what I would say.
Got it. I see some more questions coming in. So you'll see this question here. We do have a lot of people who are looking to switch roles in their career.
Yeah.
This is a question about asking for advice on what kind of advice you would give to someone who is planning to switch their career.
Yeah, I think it matters, right? Like, I think having a diverse roles that you can do is only gonna make you more effective and efficient, rather than it's going to hurt you. So I love it that somebody is taking it intentionally, right? So one is to see if within your current job, do you have any opportunities to exercise some of those skill sets that you want to embark on in this new job. For example, say you are an engineer and you want to become a product manager, right? Within the current aspects that you're doing, maybe you ask your team to say, hey, for this one feature, I'm going to do the role as a product manager. Again, these are all possibilities, right? Everybody's situation is going to be different. That gives you this flex way to prove yourself. Or organizations like this Girl Geek and or many other tech organization that kind of provides you an alternate things where you can say you want to do website design and you've never done a website design. I'm just throwing it out, right? But this is an easy way, right? What's the worst thing? They might say, no, we don't want to use this. They want to, but you would have learned how to build that. how to do that, right? So I would use both of those. One, see if your existing job provides you that opportunity, and the second is how can you leverage doing this in other parts of those opportunity. Once you combine those two, even when you apply to these new roles, they will they would see that passion, they would see that interest. Okay, yeah, it might not be your day job, but you have done these things to get here to where you are, right? So that's how you have to kind of transition. Sometimes, like I said, my own journey, it has been unplanned, and I was like forced to doing release management, forced to doing customer support. Not that I was trained to do it, but say if you get an opportunity in your own company to do multiple jobs, embrace it with full gusto and learn what matters, right? What matters to that role, and then keep building yourself up.
Thank you. I think we have so many more questions, but we do have people also tell us that they have a hard time balancing their day to day job and also staying up to date with new technologies. Things are changing so rapidly that it gets hard to keep track and keep up. So, how do you manage to do that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that technology is changing at such a fast pace. It's kind of a impossible task to keep up with all of it. Uh, for me, the best venue has been to learn from people who have figured it out, where I don't need to go from zero, right? So I kind of look at a lot of these podcasts that come that kind of synthesize information. Once that synthesized information kind of comes your way, you kind of dig in and see what interests you in that area. And if, say, your company is also jumping into these new technologies, you can also apply to figure out how is your company implementing that, right? So it's going to be that combination of things. For me, going from zero and reading every white paper that's that's published on generative AI, I don't think I will be able to scale myself to do anything like, but I love to catch up on like podcasts and things like that. And then build upon it. Well, what are these terminologies that they're talking about? Okay, how can I learn about it? What does that mean in the context of what you're doing, right? So that's the way I have kind of gone um, to the best extent. But I echo, it's extremely hard to keep up with everything that's going on.
Yeah, so this is a topic that comes up a lot as well. Looking back in your career, even though it may have been unplanned, you might look back and notice people who unintentionally or intentionally ended up playing the role of mentor, sponsor, ally. So now reflecting back, how important do you think it was to have people in each of these roles? And how do you think we can be intentional to find people in those roles and also be that person for someone else?
Yeah, no, I think it's extremely important, I would say. And it doesn't need to be anything of an official title of a mentor that you're going to give to one person. No one person is going to give you everything that you're looking for, I would say. Be open to the possibility that, hey, I aspire in this quality in this person as a mentor, right? So you don't need to have that one size fits all kind of person as your mentor, right? It's okay to have four, five, six, whatever, right? Like somebody does work life balance really well, maybe that's what you talk to them about, right? Somebody figures out how to build their career really well. I've seen women who are so good at building their career, right? So I don't have to necessarily go figure out and talk to them about work life balance, because their style is different, their approach is different. So you have to figure out what is in that person that they're doing that works for you, right? And I would love to figure that out. I have been uh, very fortunate to see people who role model the behavior, the approach and the selflessness and all of that, right? So when you see people like that, you kind of reach out to them and have that honest conversation with them. So that's how I've built allies, mentors, and sponsors. Like I said, that credibility and that reliability aspect that I said that you bring to the table, and for the good of the company, it brings you natural allies, right? Once you establish your brand like that, I've been on projects where the like I knew things, or like, people who were in the leadership role, or my skip level managers, considered me trustworthy to share the information where they had not even shared it to my manager, for example, because they were trying to build something around some proposals together, and they needed my expertise, and I contributed towards it. Like, my managers didn't even know, right? But they could trust me that that's the perspective I'm going to bring to the table, right? So you're going to have that natural allies and sponsors once you build that reputation for yourself. So it's going to matter a lot. So please, I would highly, highly encourage, if you see somebody, it doesn't have to be like, this person is perfect in every aspect, so that's the only person. Do not think that way. If you see something somebody does really well, go ask, go figure out, hey, can you learn from them? And I don't think anybody would say no, because everybody comes with this notion that they want to do what's right for the community, but sometimes people just don't even ask, right? So I have uh, mentored myself, a bunch of women in my own company, and sometimes, we share nothing but just casual conversation in those sessions. Sometimes it's like proper, intense, hard hitting topic, right? And just a casual soundboard kind of information on how do you navigate, right? And I've also reached out to people when I wanted that for myself. Hey, how do I do this? How do I elevate myself to that next opportunity, right? Because I see somebody else doing it really well. Why not ask, right? So I would highly encourage everybody take advantage of that.
Yeah, thank you. The next thing that comes up a lot, and you did touch upon it quite a bit, was being intentional about establishing your brand. But this question is more about doing it outside of your immediate circle at work. Suppose you're trying to find a next opportunity in a different org within your company or outside of your company. How do you best showcase that?
Yeah, I would definitely think about what are those stories that you can tell during the interview process, or whoever is referring you to that company, that kind of process, right? Think about one or two stories where it was not easy to do the right thing, right? Like, we all think it must be easy to do the right thing. Sometimes when you when you stand for a value, for whatever reason, your own management chain might not support you or something, but if you stay true to it and you fight through it and you help influence the direction of it, you are able to build that, right? So be sure to kind of take stock of some of those instances, right? And figure out how to weave that kind of story into your resume and into uh, the interview process, I would say, where you can weave and tell that story, right? Because these are the kind of things that are going to differentiate you, and people are going to appreciate it, right? Because eh, for the most part, resume is just very flat, right? It doesn't tell what you bring to the table, but if you're able to kind of weave in some of that, and then I'm sure, depending on how you do the resume and all, it's going to spark a conversation during your interview process. Be ready to tell that story, how you were able to do, so it helps you navigate to that next career opportunity.
That makes sense. I think this will be our last question. So, have you ever considered founding your own startup, and what motivated you to make the choice between a large organization versus a small startup?
Yeah, definitely. I have not considered building my own startup. Definitely not at this stage right now. Maybe one day, who knows what's there in the future. Definitely not. I'll tell you, I was there in the startup. I saw so much hard work, ups and downs, and so much instability. Again, it's the time of the phase in the software market, right? I was there during the dot-com burst. Maybe I saw so much. I felt like I was doing like 10 jobs kind of balancing all of it. It was a lot of hard work, and at the end of spending whatever 4.5 years, it was not worth the piece of paper. uh, right, again, because it's nothing that the company did horribly wrong. Of course, they also did some steps wrong, but it's very hard to keep up the pace of innovation, the pace of change. The it matters a lot, so very few are able to adapt and keep. Right, so the reason I chose Salesforce, of course, it was not as big as it is today. Back then, right, I chose is I wanted that stability in a company, where I'm not thinking about, okay, is there going to be layoffs every day? However, operates like a startup. I'm sure those of you who work at Salesforce, they'll tell you change is the constant. We are like a gigantic ship that trying to go like a startup, but with that stability at the rock bed, right? And I have worked on so many different tech stacks and technology stacks within Salesforce and changed roles and changed opportunities. Like, I feel like it gives me that solid foundation where I can build upon and experiment on top of it, where I'm not looking at like, okay, do I have my job tomorrow, kind of phase. Right. So there is nothing, there is no right or wrong in either. My own journey, because the kind of time I went through, it made me choose a bigger company and look for different aspects within that. Hope it makes sense.
Yeah, I think with that, we will wrap. Thank you to everybody who asked questions and posted comments. Thank you to you, Rashmi, for making time. We'll move on to our next session then. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, and really, really appreciate giving the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Good luck with rest